This is a video review of Black Panther. Could you tell? This is actually what I wore to the screening I saw with Cosplay Philadelphia. It's also what I wore to see it before that with my friend the day it came out locally, where there was reserve seating because I had to get the tickets in advance, at least for the first time, to make sure nobody was going to sit in my seat and deprive me of my first class ticket to Wakanda. But then the third time, I actually didn't dress up, but the third time I saw it in 3D, which I hadn't done before, because it's like really hard to see 3D movies when you wear glasses most of the time. I guess in Wakanda everybody gets the LASIK surgery, or just like some heart-shaped herb eye drops, vibranium contacts, vibranium frames, invisible Invisalign braces. So this is an incredible film. Like before it came out, I was already saying this film is going to succeed. And people were like, how do you know it's going to succeed? And I was like, first of all, how dare you? No, because there's so much talent. Like, it should actually be illegal to cram that much talent into one film, but I feel like that would be racist. But the things I loved about it were that as soon as you enter Wakanda, you're entering this world that T'Challa has already been in, and that he is just so eager to come back to. Even though he's coming back for a sad occasion, they're going to make it joyful. And what do Black people always do but take something that could be really sad and turn it into a source of joy, strength, perseverance? And we see this kind of beauty with his coronation, and we see this kind of irreverence in the way that his sister clowns him as soon as they get there, and the excitement and the pride that his mother has. Shout out to Angela Bassett again for welcoming her son back to claim the title, to claim the throne. And there's really nothing more beautiful than that, and seeing these people who have hidden and treasured unto themselves this totally invaluable resource of vibranium, but also like this unique culture, or at least like they've taken in everything that you see in Wakanda, just emanates style. It demonstrates how excited these people are just to be who they are. All of these styles and practices and references from their roots, and taken them up because they choose to, because they want to. So you have this revision of who the Dora Milaje are. They're military, but there's also a special council in which all of the elders of the various groups within Wakanda meet. And the Dora Milaje, of course, General Okoye is in that. So you have this notion where the people doing the fighting on the ground are not subordinate, but they're actually essential to the decision-making and not just the muscle. You have this environment where people from all these different backgrounds, right? In the comics, you would often hear this talked about as all the Wakandas, where the Panther clan is in charge. But, you know, we also have M'Baku. So the different turns that they're able to make in this film that draw together these different kinds of people give us a sense that Wakandans can be anything. And if you see that, then you can imagine that, oh, if I could be a Wakandan, and Wakandans can be anything, then there's nothing I can't do. That's amazing. That's exactly what superhero stories are for. I think it's also the reason that some people don't see it for the film. And that's all right, because you don't necessarily always want to see a fantastical, out of control, battle royale, high technology 3D cameras falling down the train, the mine shaft. You don't necessarily always want to see that, but I always want to see that. The one debate that's really kicked off has been something like what I'm doing right now, right? I am performing it. I got this jacket. It's a dashiki pattern jacket. As you can tell, it was custom made, but not quite custom fitted because I'm kind of zoot suiting it right here, but that's all right. And this t-shirt is from the Brooklyn Museum Shop, actually. It is a design based on a mask incorporated in the Bamileke people of Cameroon. Right, it's like that. So, I mean, yes, there is this flattening, this two-dimensional form of representation. There's this flattening, this kind of invocation of references to different distinct African nations and cultures and even religious traditions in certain ways that, yeah, is problematic. But, you know, nobody said African Americans are not problematic, but nobody should be able to say that their own people are not problematic. This is something that African Americans have always done, is try to make connections not just to the people we know and understand and imagine as our ancestors, but people to whom we would like to connect in the diaspora, just like all other people of African descent who have their genealogy, their nations, their heritage intact. One of the lines that the villain in at least the first half of the film delivers, Claw, is, oh, this vibranium, they weave it into their clothing. But I think that's a beautiful metaphor, right? Because you have this creating an image of who Africans are that's like very distinctly, discreetly picking up references to the Himba peoples, to the Maasai peoples, to the several people of Ugandan descent who were actors in the film, like Daniel Kaluuya. What you see is kind of an evolution of this habit of making two-dimensional cultural references and these two-dimensional images of who African Americans imagine ourselves to be as people in the world, and then you flesh them out. You make them three-dimensional. They're woven into the clothing the people are wearing. That's why I think Ruth Carter is really the unsung heroine of this film. I mean, never mind that Nakia is actually the unsung heroine of the film, because she's saying, hey, T'Challa, why don't we do outreach all over the world? Essentially, the place in the world that Nakia wants to see for Wakandans is essentially the better version, the worked out version of what Eric Killmonger wants to see in the world, except that he fucked up and got himself named Killmonger. Now, if he had got himself named, like, I don't know, Peacemonger or Treaty Monger or like Cosmopolitanismonger, that might have worked a little better for him. Or like STEM Monger, right? Like Shuri, like if he had kind of like, or STEAM, you know, because you have to incorporate the art and design elements into that, because the Wakanda design group is like, I want to work there. What I feel is so satisfying about it is that it's a spectacle, but it is our spectacle. It doesn't just meet you where you are, but it sees you where you are, and then it raises you, right? It asks you to take that leap, right? Be fantastical. Dream about it. Imagine it. And yes, know that it might go wrong. I mean, that's why there's a conflict. That's why there's a villain. But we also know that this is not the only possible story to tell. So really, what I see in it is that I'm looking forward to more. Really, the qualms that people might express are obviously to do with the fact that Eric Killmonger is really problematic, right? Now, yes, he is an African American, but one thing I think is incredible is that you never actually see his African American mother in the film. Where did she go? And I think that misremembering or that erasure of who she was and what her dreams for him might have been, instead of, you know, this kind of dreams from my father narrative that he was off on, instead of that, it would have been amazing to see what his mother might have imagined for him, because clearly he got this sense of African American identification. You know, like Hortense Spiller says, right? The African American is touched by the mother. And even though she's not present, I think because she's not present, you get a sense that there's so much about who Njidaka is that is because he is an African American, and that's so hard to explain. He's so disconnected from it, disconnected from that African American motherhood, that heritage that he would have had, that other meaning of his ancestry, was something that it's really poetic. I also think that, you know, the beef that people have is that you see this like soft-core white savior situation happen with Elliot Ross. And I'm like, yeah, Elliot Ross is problematic, but he's always been problematic. You know who else is problematic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? S.H.I.E.L.D. This whole business where S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra and Hydra is Nazis. Double space Nazis. And S.H.I.E.L.D. is Hydra is, okay, word. So like S.H.I.E.L.D. is basically the worst. And Elliot Ross isn't even S.H.I.E.L.D., okay? He's the CIA, which is like, they're only actually historically related to authoritarian, fascist, anti-democratic, anti-black, dehumanizing, genocidal foreign policy and things of that nature. But what we don't get is this effort to recuperate S.H.I.E.L.D. or to recuperate, you know, this myth of Captain America who needs to, you know, go in and save the world. And we didn't get that, and we didn't need to see it. I'm excited to see what they do with the character of the White Wolf. Is he going to be like the other side of what Elliot Ross turned out to be? Is he going to be the fulfillment of all the things that this white American figure could have been in another face? He's this person who, you know, he's this other broken white boy that Shuri got to fix. And what's amazing about that is that I think, okay, maybe if there's something to that for Bucky besides being Cap's love interest, which art. I'm also excited to see about like the upgrades that Shuri got in. Basically, like anytime I think somebody comes to Wakanda, they should just like get a postcard that says like, Shuri, ask about me. There is so much to love, and if there's a little bit that's not to love, that's all right. It might not be for you to love, but it's for somebody, and I think that's cool. Really, all I can say is Wakanda forever, obviously.